Heartwarming twist as billionaire grandma discovers waitress wearing hidden necklace of her DAUG. Mary hustled through the crowded diner, the aroma of bacon and freshly brewed coffee swirling around her like a warm embrace. At 28, she had become a master at juggling the demands of the clanging dishes and the constant chatter of customers. Every shift was a test of her strength as she cared for her ailing mother at home. But Mary wore her hope like a badge. Her laughter, though tinged with fatigue, brought light to the bustling little diner in their small town. Every whistle of the coffee machine reminded her of the beauty in simple moments, even as she felt the weight of her worries pressing down on her. Meanwhile, amidst the merriment at a booth near the window sat a woman whose presence seemed to overshadow the lively scene. Evelyn, a recently widowed billionaire matriarch seeking solace from an oppressive world of wealth and loss, watched the waitress with a strange mixture of admiration and concern. Through her tinted sunglasses, she observed Mary's relentless spirit, unaware of the antique necklace that lay heavy against her chest, an emblem of the ruins of her estranged relationship with her own daughter. Evelyn's heart ached at the sight of Mary's smile, all while her own memories screamed for reconciliation. As Mary approached, wiping her hands on her apron, the laughter from tourists drifted into background noise. She heard them toss around hushed whispers about a lost necklace belonging to a well-known family. Her curiosity bloomed like the coffee plants back home, and little did she know that the very thing that intrigued her was close to being revealed. "Excuse me," Evelyn finally mustered the courage to say, her voice trembling slightly, as if the weight of her past was visible in her words. "That necklace, it looks remarkably familiar." Mary's heart raced as Evelyn's eyes bore into hers. "Oh, this? I found it in my mom's old things," Mary replied, feeling a flicker of warmth mixed with caution. "Just a family heirloom." As they talked over slices of pie and coffee, the differences in their lives seemed to diminish. While Evelyn shared stories skillfully veiled in jest about her glamorous life, Mary painted pictures of her mother's love, tethered by the day-to-day struggles of reality. It was a gradual intertwining of their worlds, a delicate balance between wealth and hardship. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just then, the air shifted. The diner's usual warmth turned icy as Mary's phone buzzed with a frantic message. Her mother was in the hospital. This was the call she dreaded. Panic flooded Mary's chest, tightening her breath. Evelyn watched as Mary's face paled, her resilience momentarily cracking. "Mary, what's wrong?" Evelyn's voice was steady, yet filled with urgency. "My mom, she's not doing well," Mary managed to choke out. Emotion coursed through her as she fought back tears. What do I do?" Evelyn felt a tug at her own heartstrings, torn between wanting to help and confronting the walls built around her heart by wealth and privilege. Would she reach across that divide? With their lives now intertwined, would she risk opening old wounds for the sake of a friendship barely blooming? As she weighed her options, a sense of urgency enveloped the diner. Those walls felt impossibly high as Mary tried to mask the fear that threatened to consume her. Time ticked away, and their destinies hung in a delicate balance. The question loomed large. Would Mary accept help that came wrapped in the complexities of privilege? Could Evelyn redefine familial love against the backdrop of their fragile circumstances? Mary's hands trembled as she pocketed her phone, the bleary message echoing in her chest like a relentless drum. The laughter of the diner faded into a haunting melody as she struggled to focus, the hum of conversations now a blur. "Mary, you have to go," Evelyn said softly. Her voice cut through the noise, steadying Mary like an anchor in a storm. "I can't just leave," Mary insisted, the panic rising in her throat. "There are customers to serve. I can't just walk out." Evelyn's heart sank. She stood up, her tall frame casting a long shadow over the table. "What if I help?" she offered, her voice nearly a whisper, holding on to that fragile hope that perhaps this moment could change everything. "Let me take care of the diner. Just go." Mary studied Evelyn's face, conflicted. She could sense the sincerity radiating from the woman. Beyond the diamond earrings and designer purse was someone who understood fear and loss. But could she truly trust someone who'd spent their entire life on the other side of privilege? Evelyn, Mary started, but there was no time for further hesitation. She saw the worry etched in Evelyn's brow, her own anxiety reflected back at her. I'll manage, Evelyn urged. Go to your mother. I'll handle this. A fleeting thought crossed Mary's mind. What if this was the moment that created a real connection beyond their unequal worlds? She took a deep breath, allowing the weight of her fears to lift, if only just a little. Okay, she relented, her voice just above a whisper. Thank you. With one final glance at the bustling diner, Mary dashed out into the sunlight, her heart racing. The parking lot seemed infinitely larger, the world outside buzzing with urgency. Each step felt heavy, as if the air itself was holding her back. But beneath that weight, a flicker of gratitude blossomed for Evelyn's kindness. As she climbed into her car, she felt the gravity of her choice settle in. Would her mother still be there when she reached the hospital? With anguish bubbling in her heart, she gripped the steering wheel. Evelyn watched her leave, a mix of emotions swirling inside her. The diner was in chaos, but somehow, it felt manageable now. She stepped behind the counter, pulling on an apron, a stranger in a foreign land. Each minute ticked by like a countdown, yet her heart was informed by an unexpected resolve to not only help Mary, but also to find healing of her own. Hours passed in a blur of coffee cups and plates. Evoked laughter intertwining with the clatter of forks created an odd rhythm, a sense of family that had eluded Evelyn for so long. She was struck by something profound, a connection that grew richer with every smile she offered to the customers and every pie-warmed slice she served. Meanwhile, the sterile smell of antiseptic invaded Mary's senses as she rushed into the hospital. Her heart raced, each beat echoing in the sterile hallways. Scanning the waiting room, she felt the knot of fear tighten as she searched for her mother, her mind moving in a whirlwind of worst-case scenarios. Just as she spotted a nurse wheeling a cart, a sound broke through, familiar yet distant. A soft, laughing voice. Mary's goal shifted as she turned down the hallway, drawn like a moth to the flame. The laughter wasn't alone. It echoed like a cherished memory, reverberating against the walls. Elated, Mary followed it, her heart pounding. What if her mother had company? What if it was the joyous moment that she so desperately needed to find again? As Mary turned the corner and stepped into a room, her eyes widened. There before her sat her mother, smiling a soft smile that held warmth and love. Next to her was a figure unfamiliar, yet incredibly familiar at the same time. Mom, Mary breathed out, her heart throbbing with anticipation. Who's here with you? But as she took a step forward, ready to embrace, her smile faltered. The face of a woman with unmistakable features, eerily similar to hers, turned toward her. Evelyn? Confusion swept over them like a wave, crashing against the fragile moment they'd just woven together. Would Mary discover the answers to the questions she didn't even know she had? Why was Evelyn here? And how was she connected to this life-altering moment? The air thickened with possibility as their eyes locked, and for the first time, the stark lines between their worlds blurred into something unexpected. What would they uncover in this serendipitous twist of fate? The silence in the room felt electric, the space between them charged with unanswered questions. Mary's mind raced, grappling with the stunning sight before her. What was Evelyn doing here? Mary, her mother said, her voice soothing, full of warmth. I'm so glad you came. Mary's gaze darted between her mother and Evelyn. Mom, how do you know her? Evelyn's brows furrowed, uncertainty flickering across her face. I didn't know you were your mother's daughter, she stammered, her voice trembling, barely above a whisper. Mary took a cautious step forward, her heart pounding like a drum. What do you mean? The question hung heavy in the air, the implications stretching like a taut string ready to snap. I was just visiting, Evelyn explained, glancing back at Mary's mother for reassurance. I've been stopping by to check on some of the patients at the hospital. It's part of what I do. I didn't expect to find you here. That familiar feeling of confusion twisted in Mary's gut. So you've been volunteering? More like giving back, I guess, Evelyn replied, the tension in her voice barely masking the unease. I wanted to feel connected, to learn what it's like for people, to be more than just the life I've known. Mary blinked, caught off guard. She understood the longing for connection. She felt it every single day. But this moment, it was surreal. Mom, are you okay? Mary turned her focus back to her mother, searching for clarity amidst the emotional fog. The smile on her mother's face faded slightly, revealing a hint of vulnerability as she nodded. I'm doing much better, sweetheart. Her mother's eyes sparkled with something Mary hadn't seen in a while. Hope. Thanks to Evelyn. She has been so wonderful. Even amid the chaos of emotions, Mary felt the warmth of gratitude for Evelyn, a stranger who had somehow become intertwined with her family. But a flicker of doubt shadowed her excitement. What happens now? She asked, her voice small, uncertainty flooding her heart. Would this reunion tear them apart again? Maybe this is a sign. Mary, Evelyn ventured, heart racing. I mean, we might have more in common than we think. We're just a couple of girls trying to find our way. Mary looked at Evelyn, really looked at her. Pushing aside the barriers that separated them, she saw vulnerability in her eyes, a reflection of her own insecurities. Perhaps they were more alike than she had allowed herself to believe. What if it is a step forward? Mary said slowly, the idea taking root. What if we could help each other? I've been struggling for so long. A slow smile broke across Evelyn's face, and it felt like a bridge forming between them. We could. Together. Mary's heart started racing, hope seeping in, wrapping around her like a warm blanket. She could feel a shift, an opportunity brewing in the air. But what did it all really mean? Let us not rush this, her mother said gently, as if sensing the whirlwind of emotions swirling. One step at a time. As they shared a fragile moment of understanding, Mary noticed the necklace Evelyn wore. A delicate pendant glinted as it caught the light. It was oddly familiar, like a fragment of a memory hovering just outside her grasp. Evelyn, your necklace, it looks just like one my mother used to have, Mary said, her voice shaky. Evelyn's eyes widened, an astounded look washing over her face. This belonged to my grandmother. I didn't know what was happening? Every answer seemed to lead to more questions. Was there a deeper connection yet to be discovered? As they stood on the precipice of revelation, a shadow fell over the doorway, and a stern nurse stepped in, her expression unreadable. Excuse me, but I need to discuss something vital regarding your mother's care. A chill swept through the warm room, turning anticipation to dread. What could be so urgent? The tone of the world around them shifted abruptly. As the nurse's words hovered in the air, Mary felt the ground tremble beneath her feet. In that moment, she realized their lives were about to be irrevocably intertwined. What truth lay behind the nurse's serious demeanor? What awaited them on this unexpected journey? Mary's heart raced as the nurse stepped closer, an air of urgency cloaking her like a thick fog. The woman's stoic demeanor was alarming, and Mary felt as if the walls were closing in around her. Is everything okay with my mom? She asked, her voice rising slightly with panic. The nurse glanced at Mary's mother, who sat quietly, her fingers nervously twisting around a corner of her blanket. The playful smile from moments ago now vanished. I need to discuss her results. It's important. Evelyn's gaze shifted between the two, concern etching deeper lines across her forehead. What results? She asked, her voice almost a whisper. The nurse hesitated, then took a deep breath. There's been a complication, something we didn't expect. We need to monitor her closely over the next few days. Complication? The word echoed in Mary's head, pounding like a drum. She felt a sharp pang of fear stab through her heart. No, not again. Not after all this hope had just begun to bloom. What kind of complication? Mary demanded, tears threatening to spill over. She needed answers, needed assurance, and she didn't care if she sounded desperate. The nurse met her gaze with a sympathetic understanding. It's manageable, but I need you to prepare yourselves. Prepare ourselves for what? Her mother's voice suddenly cut through the tension, a mix of strength and apprehension. I'm here now, right? We can face anything together. Mary turned to her mother, feeling a swell of pride. Despite everything she had gone through, her mom still clung to hope. It was a reminder that sometimes strength could be found even in the midst of chaos. This is just a bump in the road, the nurse continued, her tone reassuring. With the right care and adjustments to her treatment plan, we'll see improvements. A stillness enveloped the room as Mary processed the information. She could feel the weight of anxiety begin to press down on her again. Breathing deeply, she reminded herself to focus on the positives. "I'm here for you, Mom," Mary promised, holding her mother's hand firmly. "We'll get through this." Evelyn stepped closer, her presence offering an unexpected warmth. Together, she echoed, nodding, her eyes reflecting a resolve that seemed to anchor them all. "Now, may I take you first to see the treatment plan?" the nurse asked, her demeanor softening as she extended a hand toward the door. With a deep breath, Mary nodded. "Yes, please." As they moved toward the door, Evelyn's hand brushed against Mary's shoulder, a silent agreement forming between them. They might not have known each other well yet, but Mary felt a tether of solidarity binding them. They were in this together, walking alongside her mother, and Evelyn felt strange yet comforting. Each step they took rippled with uncertainty, but there was also hope, a flicker of light guiding them through the darkness that in the hallway. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, but the intensity of the moment drowned them out. Mary's heart beat loudly in her ears as she thought about Evelyn's necklace. How could it be so much more than just jewelry? Maybe it was a symbol of their intertwined destinies, leading them towards something significant. "I still can't believe your necklace belonged to my grandmother," Evelyn said, breaking the charged silence. "It's like fate or something." "Maybe it is," Mary replied thoughtfully. "Maybe it means we're supposed to discover more together." But just as hope began to blossom again, the nurse stopped abruptly. "Before we proceed, I need to inform you about the next steps regarding your mother's health and something about that necklace," she said, her voice laced with urgency again. Mary felt her stomach drop. What did she mean? What secrets lay hidden within those words? What revelations awaited them in this unexpected journey, now tinged with both fear and hope? Mary's hands trembled as her mind raced. The nurse's voice hung in the air, thick with unspoken truths. What could possibly connect her mother's health, their current turmoil, and that necklace? Her heart pounded, each beat a reminder of how fragile everything felt right now. "Could you please elaborate?" Evelyn asked, her voice steady, but Mary could see the flicker of anxiety in her eyes. The nurse took a breath, glancing again at Evelyn's delicate necklace, the light dancing off its metallic surface like a beacon in the dim hallway. "It's about your mother's family history, specifically certain genetic markers we found during her tests. They align with a rare condition that can be hereditary." The nurse paused, gauging their reactions. "And that necklace, your grandmother may have worn it for a very specific reason." "What do you mean?" Mary whispered, feeling the weight of the moment pressed down on her shoulders. "I believe your mother may carry traits that she is not aware of. Traits that could have implications for her health moving forward." Tension filled the air, and a wave of uncertainty washed over Mary. Could something as simple as a necklace hold the key to understanding why her mother was struggling? Evelyn stepped forward slightly, her expression a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. "But why is the necklace significant?" "It's just a piece of jewelry to most people." The nurse placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "It's actually more of a familial heirloom. In your family, it seems to have a tradition tied to health, much like a lucky charm. People who owned it in the past reported unusual resilience to certain illnesses, possibly due to the symbolic connection it has." Mary blinked, trying to process this. Could it be that their connection to the necklace would somehow help them now? This flicker of hope danced at the edges of her despair. But how do we know it even applies to Mom? Mary felt the desperate need for answers. She wanted to cling to this thread of hope, but couldn't let herself dive in too deeply without more information. "We don't know for certain," the nurse replied, "but might I suggest we ensure your mother wears it while we sort this out? It can't hurt, and it might even help us understand her condition better." Evelyn nodded in agreement, her voice calm but filled with a newfound determination. "I think it would mean a lot to my mother if she knew she had it with her." Mary's heart lifted slightly at the thought. Perhaps this could be the turning point they all sorely needed. "I'll make sure she wears it," Mary declared, the fire of resolve sparking in her. "We will get through this together." As they moved towards the nurse's office, a sense of unity formed among them. The weight of impending challenges still loomed, but there was something about facing them as a team that brought a comforting warmth. The nurse led them into a small, yet inviting room filled with diagrams, charts, and light filtering through the window. Mary could almost feel the air vibrating with possibility. It was quiet, but inside her, she could feel a storm brewing, a blend of fear, hope, and disbelief. "Let us review your mother's treatment plan," the nurse said, opening a folder. The pages rustled, revealing a clearer path despite the looming chaos. But just as Mary's breath steadied, the nurse's phone buzzed insistently on the table, pulling her attention. "I'm sorry, I need to take this," she said, stepping outside to answer it. Evelyn and Mary exchanged glances, their hopes fragile yet tangible. The door swung shut with a soft click, leaving them standing together, moments ticking away. Their connection felt deeper now, this shared burden weaving them together like threads in an intricate tapestry. "Do you think we're getting closer to understanding it all?" Mary asked, her voice breaking the silence. Evelyn sighed. "I think we might be on the brink of something important. But what if this leads to more questions?" Before Mary could respond, the nurse returned. Her expression shifted to one of concern that sent a chill racing down Mary's spine. "I need to share something vital regarding your mother's condition." Mary's heart raced again, the storm swirling around her fiercely. What revelation lay ahead? How interconnected were their fates? And could this necklace truly bridge the gap to answers they so desperately sought? The nurse took a moment, glancing at the folder in her hands, the air thick with anticipation. "There is something else we need to discuss," she said, her voice steady but heavy. "Your mother's condition, it's more complex than we thought. We've identified multiple markers, and there's a possibility it may not only affect her physical health." Mary felt her pulse quicken. "What do you mean? Is there more to it than just the genetic risks?" The nurse shifted her weight, and for a moment it seemed she wrestled with how to articulate what was on her mind. "We've found potential neurological implications. This condition might impact her cognitive functions as well. We need to monitor not just her physical health, but her mental and emotional well-being too." Evelyn's eyes widened, and Mary felt a rush of emotions, fear and chaos tangled together like a vine. So she could experience memory loss. Confusion? The words tumbled out, fragile and desperate. "Yes," the nurse confirmed gently. "That's why it's crucial we pay close attention to her symptoms and ensure she is grounded and connected to familiar things like that necklace." Mary clutched her chest, the weight of the news pressing down like an anchor. What if she forgot about it? What if she forgets us? Panic surged through her veins. Evelyn reached out, squeezing Mary's hand. "We won't let that happen. We'll be by her side constantly," she promised, though her voice carried a tremor. "We'll make sure she knows she is loved and supported," Mary said, the determination creeping back in. But even as she spoke, doubts gnawed at her. How could they navigate a path lined with uncertainty and possible heartache? The unseen battles ahead felt daunting. The nurse drew a breath, glancing towards the door as if measuring how to proceed. It may help to have something resembling a daily routine. Familiarity can be incredibly stabilizing, both for her body and mind. It might even intertwine with the significance of the necklace. Mary nodded, her mind racing to assemble ideas. "Like cooking her favorite meals?" she suggested, hope threading through her words. "Exactly," the nurse replied, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. "Connections to her past will help anchor her. Holding onto that necklace could spark memories, strength, and resilience." Mary felt a flicker of inspiration. What if the necklace was more than a charm? What if it held stories? Her grandmother's stories? "I could ask Grandma about it." "Yes," Evelyn chimed in. "We need to dive deeper into its history. It might reveal ties to your mother's health. Maybe it will illuminate what is still hidden. It's worth exploring." As their planning gathered momentum, the nurse interjected, "Just remember, it's critical that all preparations are made with love. Your mother needs to feel secure around people she trusts and artifacts from her life." The three of them sat in a bubble of energy, a wave of purpose crashing over their previous despair. But just then, a sudden crash echoed from outside the window, a commotion on the street below that pulled them from their plans. Curious, Mary leaned closer to see. "What is happening?" Evelyn craned her neck as well. "I don't know. It looks like people are gathering." The nurse opened the door, stepping out to investigate. Mary's heart quickened with a mix of worry and intrigue. What could be causing the stir? A few moments later, the nurse came rushing back in, her expression a mix of disbelief and excitement. "There is someone out there, someone claiming to be a part of your family's history. Someone who's been searching for that necklace." Mary sat up, her heart racing. Could this be another piece of the puzzle? Who was this stranger? And why did they seek that necklace so desperately? A world of questions opened before her, teasing at answers just out of reach. Mary's pulse raced, the air thick with possibility. A stranger, an unknown link to her family's past, stood just beyond the hospital walls, tugging at the edges of her curiosity. She glanced at Evelyn, their eyes locking in shared anticipation. Who could it be? Evelyn's voice shook slightly, as if echoing Mary's own anxiety. I need to know, Mary said, pulling away from the chair and rushing toward the door. The nurse hesitated for a heartbeat, but then stepped aside to let her through. Outside, the sun was bright, casting slants of light through a gathering crowd. People were murmuring, pointing towards a figure at the center of the chaos. With each step, Mary felt the weight of her mother's condition wrapped around her like a heavy cloak, but also a burst of adrenaline propelling her forward. As she made her way through the small crowd, snippets of conversation floated to her ears. The necklace. It must be hers, one person whispered. Her heart raced. Could they be talking about her mother's necklace? Finally, Mary pushed her way through the last of the throng, and there, framed by sunlight, stood a woman in her late 50s. She had striking features, similar to her mother's, but harsher, the lines on her face etched deep with life's burdens. Her presence commanded attention, a mix of authority and warmth. In her hands hung the necklace, the very same their nurse had mentioned. Mary? The woman called out, her voice breaking the spell of silence that had enveloped them. You're Mary, right? Yes, I am. Mary could hardly breathe as she stepped closer. How did this woman know her name? Who are you? The woman smiled, but her eyes glimmered with tears. I'm Margaret. Your mother's sister, your aunt. Shock flooded through Mary. Aunt. I didn't know I had an aunt. Her heart raced, a cocktail of excitement and confusion. Margaret stepped forward, her hand extended. I've been searching for you, for your mother. She's always had this charm. She gestured to the necklace, and I believe it holds the key to her past. The crowd around them buzzed with curiosity, whispering among themselves. Mary felt a protective urge rise within. She wanted to shield her family, her mother, from any scrutiny. But why now? Why come here? Mary asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Because I've heard she is not well. I can help. I know things about that necklace, things that may unlock memories for her, Margaret replied, urgency in her voice. Evelyn joined Mary's side, squeezing her arm, urging her to consider. Can we trust her? Mary bit her lip, wrestling with doubt. But something in Margaret's gaze felt familiar, a depth of connection that stirred a hint of hope. Please, Margaret continued, let me talk to her. We can bring her back pieces of herself. The memories began to rush through Mary's mind, her mother smiling, laughing, the way the necklace had always seemed to shimmer with stories untold. What had it meant to her mother? What could her aunt reveal? As the moment hung in the air, the weight of possibility pressed down on Mary. She glanced from a determined Margaret back to Evelyn, whose eyes reflected her own fears and hopes. Okay, Mary said, her voice soft but firm. Let us bring you to my mother. The journey ahead seemed daunting, but the flicker of connection felt like a lifeline. Together, they turned back toward the hospital, a new chapter unfurling before them. What secrets lay ahead? Would this stranger truly have the answers they sought? Fear and anticipation danced within her, but as they stepped inside, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into something even larger than themselves, something that could change everything. Would unveiling the past heal the broken lattice of memory, or would it expose deeper scars? The hospital interior contrasted sharply with the brightness outside. The air felt stale, suffused with the weight of white walls and beeping machines. Mary led the way with Margaret close behind, her heart racing with anticipation and uncertainty. Every step felt monumental, as if the ground beneath them was ready to give way to long-buried secrets. As they approached her mother's room, the familiar scent of antiseptic and faint floral arrangements filled the air, a sharp reminder of their reality. Evelyn pressed her lips together, visibly apprehensive. Are you sure about this, Mary? What if she doesn't remember? Mary hesitated, her fingers trembling slightly on the doorknob. We have to try for her, she whispered, the weight of the world suddenly resting on her shoulders. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever lay beyond the door. With a gentle push, Mary opened the door. Her mother lay in bed, the rhythmic sound of the machines harmonizing with the soft whir of the overhead light. Her face looked peaceful, yet frail, touched by time and illness. The sight clenched Mary's heart. Marjorie stirred slightly, eyes fluttering open. "Mary?" Her mother murmured, her voice hoarse. "Is that you?" "Mom, it's me," Mary said, stepping closer as she sensed the tender moment wrap around them. "And I brought someone special." Margaret moved forward, her eyes glistening with emotion. "Alice, it's me, Margaret." The name hung in the air, laden with history. Mary watched her mother's expression shift from confusion to recognition. "Margaret," her mother breathed, and in that moment, Mary felt the entire universe shift. Evelyn stood by the door, her hand instinctively covering her mouth as she witnessed the reunion. But Mary was more focused on her mother's face, reading the flicker of emotions that crossed it: surprise, nostalgia, then something deeper: longing. "Why now?" Alice asked, her voice shaky. "After all these years? I wanted to help you. I thought maybe this could bring you some peace," Margaret replied, holding out the necklace. The delicate chain glimmered, catching the light as though it held stories waiting to be told. Alice's fingers twitched, suddenly alive with a spark of recognition. "My necklace," she whispered, glancing at Mary, who held her breath. "I thought it was lost forever." "Your memories are not lost, Alice," Margaret exclaimed gently. "We can revive them together. This necklace is part of you." Tears glistened in Alice's eyes as she reached for the necklace, her hand shaking. "It's been so long, I had almost forgotten." Then silence fell, heavy and thick. The air buzzed with anticipation, and Mary felt the emotional weight wrap around her tighter. Margaret stepped even closer, her eyes never leaving her sister's. "Let me help you unlock them." The moment swelled with significance. Mary clutched Evelyn's hand, feeling the warmth and strength radiate like a lifeline. She could see her mother beginning to relax, glimmers of hope sparking in her gaze. "Aunt Margaret, what do you mean? What could this necklace reveal?" Mary interjected, her curiosity getting the better of her. "It's not just a piece of jewelry, Mary. It's a connection to our past, filled with memories that your mother may have hidden away, memories that could explain everything," Margaret said, her voice steady yet laced with emotion. An electric silence gripped the room. Everyone was holding their breath, waiting for the revelations that could shift their lives forever. Would these memories be the healing they desperately sought? Mary's mind buzzed with possibilities, and for the first time in what felt like ages, she dared to hope. But as Margaret leaned closer to her sister, ready to delve into a lifetime of memories, something shifted in the atmosphere, a sense of foreboding. Mary suddenly felt a shadow pass over them, an unshakable feeling that this was only the beginning of something bigger. What secrets lie within those memories? She wondered. As they ventured deeper into the unknown, could they truly be prepared for the truths waiting in the shadows? Just then, a loud crash echoed from the hallway, breaking the moment, sending jolts of anxiety through Mary. "What now?" The crash from the hallway shattered the fragile moment. Mary's heart raced, her body tense. She shifted her gaze towards the door, expecting the worst. Outside, voices rose in frenzy. "What was that?" Evelyn whispered, her eyes wide with alarm. "It's probably just a cart," Mary tried to reassure her, but her voice faltered. "What if it was something worse?" "Stay here," Margaret urged, stepping back. She glanced at Alice, whose eyes were now filled with confusion. "We'll check it out." As they stepped outside, a wave of chaos engulfed them. Nurses rushed past, and a stretcher was being rolled down the corridor. Mary's stomach sank. The urgency in the air was palpable. Something significant was happening, and it felt like a storm brewing. "What is going on?" She called out to a passing nurse, but the woman shook her head, too hurried to stop. It was as if the hospital itself was holding its breath. "I don't like this," Evelyn murmured, clutching Mary's arm tighter. "Neither do I," Mary admitted, her eyes scanning the faces around them, hoping to find something reassuring. The noise settled momentarily, replaced by an eerie silence that felt heavy with anticipation. She turned back to her mother's room. "We should go back inside," she suggested, but the uncertainty hung like a thick fog between them. Then a familiar voice cut through the tension. "Mary, Margaret," Alice called from within. They glanced at each other, a flash of concern crossing their faces, before they rushed back into the room. Alice was gripping the edge of her bed, her face pale, but determined. I felt something. It's as if the necklace, it awakened something in me. What do you mean? Mary asked, excitement surging through her veins. What did you see? I saw silhouettes. Faces in a house. I felt warmth. Alice's voice trailed off, her expression morphing from fear to something more profound. But there were shadows, too, a sense of loss. Margaret stepped closer, her eyes gleaming with understanding. The memories are there, hiding. We just need to reach deeper. Alice's breathing grew heavy, and with a small nod, she challenged the shadows. You'll see them, too, the good and the bad. They're all there. As she spoke, Mary felt a ripple of energy spread through the room. The necklace hung between them, shimmering subtly, almost like it was alive. Just when a glimmer of hope surged in Mary's heart, that loud crash echoed again, followed by shouts from the hallway. The door flew open. A woman, breathless and visibly shaken, rushed into the room. Is Alice here? You need to see this, she exclaimed, eyes darting between the group. Mary's heart sank. What is it? This is more complicated than any of us realized. There is something that connects all of you. The woman paused, as if considering her next words. And it involves the estate. Confusion clouded Mary's thoughts. What estate? All she could think about was the necklace, the memories, and the urgency. Who are you? Alice asked, her voice steady despite the chaos. I'm Linda. A lawyer, and your family has some unresolved matters, the woman stated, locking eyes with Alice. We need to talk. There are obligations tied to that necklace that can't be ignored. Mary felt the walls close in around her as the revelation seeped in. Everything that had been hidden, the past, the secrets, and the unknown now threatened to unravel before them. The truth was pouncing, and she felt utterly unprepared. What did this mean for their family? And what of the memories that were supposed to be revealed? With the shadows closing in, Mary understood that this was only the beginning. What lay ahead was a journey they had anticipated, both terrifying and exhilarating. But one question hammered in her mind. Could they handle the truth when it finally surfaced? In the stillness, Mary felt the tension suffocate the air. She looked around at her mother, Margaret, and Evelyn, all of them caught in the web of uncertainty, yet each pulse of anticipation felt electric. The air buzzed with thoughts left unsaid, unresolved emotions, and the lives they might not yet fully understand. Linda stepped forward, a mixture of resolve and urgency pulsing in her demeanor. There's a lot we need to unpack regarding the estate and your family dynamics. She took a moment, her gaze locking onto Mary's. That necklace signifies more than you know. It holds not just memories, but a legacy one your family must confront. What does that mean? Mary asked, her chest tightening with each word. How does this estate connect to my mother's health? There are assets, family heirlooms, just like that necklace, and they carry significance. But there are also debts, feelings, and unresolved grief tied to them. Things your mother has blocked from her memory. Things we need to face as a family, Linda continued, her voice steady, seeking to ground the whirlwind of confusion around them. Blocked memories? Evelyn echoed, glancing at Mary, who felt a knot form in her stomach. The pieces didn't fit together yet. Margaret placed a comforting hand on her sister's shoulder. This may be a breakthrough, Alice. Rediscovering those pieces could help you heal. Or tear us apart further, Mary murmured into the silence, fear rising as she thought of the shadows Margaret had mentioned, lurking in Alice's past. No, Linda said firmly. It's like untangling a knot. Difficult, but necessary for clarity. Mary looked earnestly at her mother. Mom, do you want to try? We could explore the stories connected to that necklace, see where it leads us. If the memories are there, maybe we can find a way to heal together. Alice's forehead creased with thought, but the flicker of light in her eyes was unmistakable. I want to remember, I want to fight, she said softly, but there was a new strength in her voice. Evelyn stepped closer, squeezing Mary's hand. We're here with you. You're not alone in this. With quiet determination, Alice clasped the necklace that hung around her neck, feeling its weight, both literal and figurative. Let us do it. I'm ready to confront whatever shadows are hidden. Linda nodded, encouraged by their united front. Good. I suggest we start with some family heirlooms you have scattered, the parts of your past that connect you to the home, your roots. A sense of purpose filled the room, somewhere amidst the chaos. It was a vulnerable territory to tread, but it was also an opportunity for transformation. The air felt lighter, and despite the uncertainty of what lay ahead, hope sparked like fireworks in Mary's heart. Over the next few days, they delved deeply into the family history. Gatherings turned into miniature excavations of the past. Each heirloom pulled from dusty boxes revealed fragments of their lives, woven into the fabric of their lineage. Stories started surfacing: sleepless nights and laughter-filled evenings united by struggles and triumphs, love and loss. With every visit, memory felt like a slippery chapstick, here one moment, gone the next. But Alice, holding her daughter's hand and Margaret's hand, began to recall fragments that had long evaded her grasp. "I remember Granny's laughter," Alice whispered one evening, her voice filled with bittersweet nostalgia. "And her stories about the necklace, how it symbolized protection for the one who wore it." With those words, an emotional shift settled in the room. Mary felt as if the walls of doubt and fear began to dissolve. This was more than just family history. It was a chance to rebuild connection, something they'd all been craving. And just like that, light began cascading through gaps of darkness. The hard truths mingled freely with joy as they laughed, wept, and healed. As they wrapped up their family exploration, Mary experienced a deep sense of unity strengthen around them. Hearing Alice's clear voice, recalling fragments of her life, turned the echoes of past struggles into melodies of hope. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Alice opened her heart, revealing the burdens she'd carried. "I thought I had lost you both, but rediscovering this connection has reminded me that family is everything. I was afraid, but you've brought me strength." Tears of joy flowed as both Mary and Margaret reached out to encircle Alice in an embrace. Even Evelyn stepped forward, catching the warmth of their emotions. It was a moment that bound not just sisters, but friends. "This is just the beginning," Mary murmured, her voice filled with optimism. "We'll continue diving deeper, unraveling this together. The past may have been hidden, but now we're making it part of the story we create." And in that shared space, they leaned into the possibilities that awaited new chapters to unveil, entwining fates ready to shine. With Evelyn by their side, Mary knew they could face whatever came next. The elder matriarch who once sat in a diner, longing for connection, now found herself alongside a family that grew more intertwined with each passing moment. In that moment, watching the stars blanket the night, Mary felt the embrace of possibility, tinged with the tender glow of gratitude. They would write their story together, one filled with resilience and love. This was an inspirational transformation, transforming past pain into a stepping stone for future joy. Each moment woven delicately, like a tapestry of unexpected connections waiting to broaden their circle of family. As dawn broke the next day, casting an illuminating light into their lives, Mary and her newfound family began assembling the pieces of their story. Together they embraced the journey ahead, filled with hope, armed with the power of unity, and ready to embrace whatever challenges awaited them along the way. Don't forget subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's keep the love and support flowing.